All right. Sweet. Well, I never thought I'd say this, but the redemption process is completed.
Yay!
Hooray! Yesterday, or I guess, yeah, yesterday, the day before, Ed found a few transactions that hadn't been processed correctly. So we went back and redid those. Apparently, the missed client will accept amounts with commas in them and then send zeros. But that's done, and we raised how much was it? It was over 10 million AMS, right?
Yes, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah, which I guess at the current prices is about $1 million to add to the 10 million that we're closing with auto. So, and now that that's done, we can proceed apace with the closing of the investment with auto capital. So that's also super good news. We're excited about that. Let's see. We have a bunch of other updates. We had a great meeting with Nash Foster of Pyrofex yesterday. He spoke with us, not just about working with the co-op, but also potentially working with the holdings company. Nash has a really great vision. He is really interested in helping out a lot of the small communities out there that have been sort of somewhat abandoned by the sort of lack of attention to infrastructure. And so he wants to help them build out data centers, which will, and in turn, he feels that probably one of the most promising things that can happen in these data centers is mining operations for various currencies, and he's very interested in building out the kind of infrastructure necessary for validators for RChain network. So I was extremely excited to hear that vision. And Nash met yesterday with the marketing director of one of the regional banks here as a part of that process, and would like to get us involved in that conversation to the extent that we're able. So not only is Pyrofex already providing support in terms of the work that we're doing on Casper, but they're going to be adding to the development team. So 3 new developers are coming in through Pyrofex, and then there's this new sort of direction in terms of building out the physical infrastructure. So to me, that's super exciting. Excuse me, I'm looking down at my tea because I really want something warm. It's a little chilly in the house right now. Let's see, what other updates are there? Ed, anybody help me out?
Hey, the main thing, as you mentioned, was completion of the redemption process. So that's awesome. I don't really have much else to report. We're moving along on holdings activities. Still we'll have a strong interest in wallets and identity, and have had a few conversations on those topics this week. And that theme, I think, will continue for a number of months until we get those ramped up.
I think you have a lot, right? One is there's this the RChain presentation, right, to at Perkins Coie this coming Monday. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So Greg and I will be presenting to essentially the Ethereum meetup group and other invited guests on Monday evening.
Sweet. And then
I see what's going on.
and then also there was another one that was related here. Oh yeah, with respect to identity, it turns out that some folks in the Omni Foundation have started an identity project, and so we got connected around that. So that's very exciting as well. Because identity is going to be a big deal, and we are going to need to have a fairly sophisticated and nuanced solution that sort of has multiple levels. And the vision that I was pursuing with Special K and Splicious was the quality of identity, right? So identity really is a set of behaviors over a collection of channels, and you reveal as much or as little of that as is necessary for the particular interaction. So that's kind of the way I've been thinking about it. Identity is a qualitative thing. It's not a fixed thing. It can shrink and grow depending upon the trust requirements of the interactions. And identity, as near as I can tell, because of this characteristic, is recursively related to reputation. So there are certain expectations about behavior across certain channels that constitutes identity, but that also is closely related to reputation. How do I expect this person to behave based upon my past and my past interactions with this person or agent, more generally, organization? And how do I and how does reports of other interactions with this agent impact my expectations? So there's a recursive relationship between identity and reputation that I think is going to have to play a part. But then there are also a lot of other things. Eric Anderson of Bloomberg spoke with us about a month ago, and he had some very interesting things to say about sort of the infrastructural side of identity and how this relates to the nature of the application. So if you think about it today, identity, in some sense, the major social networks have become the de facto identity providers on the internet, and that's kind of a scary thing. But there, the application is driving the notion of identity. Eric pointed out that that only works for relatively low risk applications. So as soon as you move to mission critical applications, certain financial applications or healthcare applications, then identity has to drive the application rather than the other way around. And I think that makes a lot of sense, but it also fits within this framework that I've been talking about, where identity is a qualitative thing, not a fixed notion. It stretches and shrinks depending on the kind and nature of interaction. So I think it's going to be a very rich area, and I'm very excited to have lots of super smart people and effective organizations engaging with us on this solution. Sorry for the long digression. Go ahead.
I think it's cool that identity is, as you're describing, it's tied to consensus. For example, Facebook allows you to transfer money to other people in your network. And that's worked really well so far, even though Facebook is the de facto standard and the network is the standard, because you're not going to send any money to anybody you don't know, and nobody's going to request, nobody's going to request money from you unless they don't know you. So even in that little pocket, it exists because two agents still give consensus over the history of interaction.
Yes. I think we have to be careful about making sure that we distinguish the consensus that supports the automated network, right? So the consensus that's supporting RChain is an entirely automated process. Well, mostly.
Sure.
Even there, it's kind of an interesting thing, right? When you come to issues of hard forks and soft forks. So your point is actually really, really well taken. But I do want to say that there's this kind of stratified thing, right? There's the social consensus.
It's a social consensus, yeah.
Right? There's a kind of social consensus that, I don't know, for example, the New York Times rarely publishes fake news. It may occasionally have a slant to it in one direction or another, but we don't typically. The social consensus is the New York Times is a relatively credible source of information.
For some,
right. Yeah. For some people, right? Whereas there's a different kind of consensus that's happening in the Paxos algorithm, right?
What algorithm? Sorry.
What's that?
In the what algorithm?
The Paxos algorithm, which is it's a distributed algorithm, but it's more centralized. So there you can kind of think about there's not really a source of agency in the particular programs or sub agents of Paxos that are interacting to achieve the consensus, right? They're following a strict set of rules, and so there isn't the same kind of agency as we find at the social level of consensus, and I think that's kind of the dividing line. That would be my proposal as to what the dividing line is. It has to do with what the nature and character of agency is, right? So if it's completely algorithmic, if it's completely automated and mechanical, versus there's some other element of agency in the process. Cool. So those two things are exciting to me. Let's see, what else do we have coming down the pipe? I know for myself, in the next few months, I'm going to be really, really focused on getting Rolang up and running. And the reason is because I want to start writing in it. I really, really want to start being able to write contracts in Rolang. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And I think once we have a certain number of contracts in Rolang, then it will become easier and easier for other people to write contracts in Rolang. And so we'll start to get a critical mass. And towards that end, we're making an arrangement for Alex Bulkin of Coin Fund to come out and spend a week with us to complete the work around providing the tutorial. So hopefully kind of in the June timeframe that'll happen, and then in the July timeframe we'll be publishing general tutorial for programming in Rolang contracts, and in particular provide sort of the hello world applications for the cryptocurrency world, wallets and signing and all of that sort of thing.
What's the scope of the tutorial so far?
That's the scope of the tutorial. Is basically how do you do the hello world of cryptocurrency? Right, make a contract, and what's the security behind it, and that sort of thing. Yeah.
I had a general question about how we're going to treat collections in Rolang. Is it going to be, pretty much an extension of Scala, or are we going to create a new syntax? For example, if I want to assign a list to the value X, am I going to have to adopt the Rolang X bang list, or just val X equals list?
So the nicest thing is typically when you want to refer to a list, the list itself can be the list itself is a monad. And so you can iterate through, mostly when you have a collection, you want to mutate or modify the collection, right? Yeah. So one of the most basic operations is to iterate through the collection in some way. So either map through it or flat map through it. then the for comprehension syntax fits exactly with that. So that's the key trick is that our syntax is already set up for collections.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was the idea of the for comprehension. In the first
exactly. Now whether we and in general, what that does is that the for comprehensions also gives you a kind of let syntax, right? So basically the thing on the other end of a leftward pointing arrow is the target of an assignment statement.
Yeah.
Right. So we've got all of the elements for assignments, the usual syntactic notions like assignments, iteration, etc.
Sure, but that would be expressed with the bang syntax then.
No, because you can make one right then and there. So you don't necessarily have to send one to a channel. You can just make one right in place. You can have something that evaluates to an expression, and then say
with just the for comprehension section.
Yeah, that can be the right hand side of the leftward pointing arrow.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we'll go through lots and lots of examples as time goes on. I know that Jack experimented with additional let syntax, and I'm happy to continue to tinker and experiment. But I want any sort of extensions beyond what's in the specification to be justified by use cases that make it very, very clear. Right. So we're starting with a kernel that's really, really pure and as close to the model as possible, and we have to have like easily passing the 80-20 rule, right? So there has to be like 80% of the cases are going to look like this, and therefore we need support for that. Yeah, good. Those are great questions. I really enjoy that kind of discussion.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was curious what the difference, since we're re-implementing RoVM in Scala, and obviously, or we're re-implementing RosetteVM in Scala, and obviously RosetteVM was made with actor semantics, and there's the limitation on that. The difference is between actor semantics and the process calculator is essentially that you can make mailboxes portable. So what would that look like, I guess, when we re-implement Rosette? How would we make that actually happen?
What's the referent of that?
Say again? When we making channels or mailboxes, right, as channels portable, do we essentially just send the name of the mailbox to another mailbox, and that accomplishes that?
You have a map. In general, addresses of mailboxes are portable even in the actor semantics. That's how one actor sends a message to another.
Cool.
Yeah. So essentially, there's a namespace for mailboxes. That level doesn't ever show up, right? And the reason it doesn't show up is because we have this tuple space layer between us and the actor semantics. So effectively, we implement tuple spaces on top of actors using the reflective method, right? And then row maps onto that. So you don't see the actor semantics at all.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's see. We walked through those updates. It looks like I am in the process also of writing out a little document on economic agency as so how RChain relates to economic agency and how that relates to Casper, and in particular issuance. So a lot of people have had questions about issuance in Casper, right? Because and this came up again in the Casper stand-up on Monday. Vitalik has a nice model that has to do with being proportional to the square root of the stake. So So that's one approach. There are some other. Vlad has been kind of pushing the envelope, trying to see, if you can have models where you have no issuance at all. So that's another interesting approach. But I want to clarify that. I want to, in this document, clarify for people what their expectations can be with respect to issuance and validation. So how issuance is related to the fees collected as a part of participating in the Casper protocol. So you should look for that. I know that there's been a lot of interest in that particular question, especially on Slack. I think that's it for my updates. Let's see. I know that Kent, I just wanted to make sure, since you're on, does we had decided to move the stand up to 3 p.m. PDT, and then I heard from Ed that maybe that was problematic for you. Is that the case?
Yeah, I won't be able to attend until, I guess, the semester ends, but that should work for next semester if this is like long-term planning.
Okay. Well, we always enjoy your engagement. What time is a better time?
Well, I'm open, or I can make any time after 5 work, or 5:30. Sorry.
Okay. All right. So maybe this time we'll talk to David Curran and see if that can work for him.
Okay.
And if so, then we'll move it there. Make sure that works for everybody. But okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I understand your course load is that way, and that makes total sense.
I also sent you an email, I believe, on my other open time. Sorry, I'll have to dig that out. But
okay, I'll look for it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks.
Great. So, do we have any other updates? Did the membership meeting happen today? I was a little bit late, but I couldn't figure out which Zoom room it was in.
Apparently did not happen.
Oh, it didn't. Okay.
Okay. On the identity front, the end of this month is the Woodstock of Identity.
Yes, that's right.
The 24th Internet Identity Workshop. I plan to be there. I was wondering if anybody's going to be representing RChain. It seems like it would be a good opportunity for RChain.
It's a great. So remind me the dates now.
It's the beginning of next month, so the 2nd to 4th. 2nd
to 4th of May.
Yeah.
And where is it?
It's in Mountain View.
Oh, okay.
I've been interacting a lot with the Internet of People, the fermat.org group, and they have a lot of momentum in a universal identity. And they're looking to migrate from a Bitcoin clone to some kind of proof of stake. And I think RChain is a really good fit there.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Well, definitely would like to talk with them if you can broker a conversation.
Yeah. And there's a lot of other areas where, there really is decentralizing everything, not necessarily blockchains. And it would be good if a lot of their stuff was RChain compliant, so to speak. They have a thing called RedTooth, which is peer-to-peer TCP/IP. So they're spread out all over the map in the decentralization world.
Got it. Okay, I see. So 2nd and 4th in Mountain View. All right, that's possible. Cool. Well, that's a good update. Do we have any other updates?
So I'm finishing up a script right now for a I don't want to call it a marketing video, but it's essentially an introduction to RChain and from an investor and developer middle ground, which goes through the entire stack, as well as a bit of an introduction to smart contracts, not so much. And we're finishing up the script within the next day or so. And then Nathan Windsor is introducing me to an animator today. And we're going to create storyboards and all sorts of graphics and everything for that introduction video. And it should be high quality. So that'll be coming out. The script will be finished in the next couple of days, and the animations after that, probably within the month or two following. So I think that'll be excellent. It's something that we've definitely needed.
Yeah, I agree. There's lots and lots of just sort of explanatory stuff. That's for sure. I think that'll be. Go ahead.
Yeah, like a single video of reference.
Yeah. Understood.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, so we can put that on the website, for example.
Exactly, or even use it. For purposes of fundraising, especially because unfortunately, there's so much noise in the blockchain space that you have to have something short like that to really connect. I think with anyone who's interested. So that'll be good. Great. That's really good. Were you guys, I'm curious, so we had a nice meeting, what was it, Friday? Is that right? Yeah, it was sometime around then. So it was really cool. We discussed the idea of rebranding and re-envisioning namespaces as verses, right? That's right. So we should give people some of the background, because I explained it to Ed and he just didn't like it at all. So the background was I was reintroduced, or I watched the Firefly series again, which is for those people who don't know, it's a science fiction spaghetti western in space kind of thing that was done by Joss Whedon, in that it's set sort of 500 years in the future or thereabouts. And the language has evolved, and instead of saying the universe, they say verse. So we were looking at RChain and the idea of namespaces as a kind of multiverse. And so then we were contracting that down, a la Firefly, down to just verse. And it worked out really well, because essentially there, as you've mentioned a few times, are two ways to describe a namespace. We can list everything that exists inside of it, or we can list a set of properties or laws that describe everything inside of it. So one namespace or verse may have different properties or laws than another namespace or verse. But if you share those properties and abide by those laws, then you may enter a different verse. And it's an extremely generic and profound way to describe a central idea. The thing is, with that though, is that if we're going to rebrand the term namespace, then it's appropriate that we rebrand a couple of other things with it. So right now we're trying to consider terminology for RoVM. We can still keep a social contract, but RoVM and groups of RoVMs and everything around it, just so that we have a consistent theme, right? If we introduce universe, we want to have a theme that holds together very well. We're going to have to come up with that before, like that entire set of lexicon before we make the video. Otherwise, we can't really include the verse idea in it.
Yeah, understood. Well, again, the thing I've tried to suggest is that you don't have to have all the answers laid out. It's totally okay to leave some room for mystery, because it's that unanswered question that leads to further engagement. That's been my experience all along, is that a few questions left unanswered is what causes someone to say, wait a minute, what about this, or what about this?
Yeah,
and it's through that dialogue and discourse that people become more they bring more of themselves to the picture. And that's really what we need to have happening here, is people showing up and bringing more of themselves.
I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see. Oh yeah, one other technical detail. The CFO for RChain Holding did some very nice research on bank accounts for the cooperative, and I had expressed the desire to not use some of the bigger name banks and possibly use a credit union to be consistent with our values. And after her research, the BECU credit union came up as the best the best institution for our purposes. So the co-op will be opening its business bank account with BECU. So that's I'll be doing that either today or tomorrow, depending on whether or not I get the documentation from our council, so that I can walk in with all the information necessary to open a business account. But that's some logistics and details. Usually those are not discussed with the community. But again, we're very, very interested in being as transparent as possible. Let's see. Anything else from anybody?
Real quick on the explanatory front, I'm going to spend some time this week clarifying information on co-op pre-registration and registration. I know Jim and HJ have already done some work on that. I'd like to get it to a presentable portion of the website, whether it be a new page or just an entire structural change, so that we can start facilitating that process as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. I think it's a really, really good idea. Just getting a new page up discussing membership. And we have to move relatively quickly, right? Because the first membership meeting is in October of this year. Ed, what did we set it for? Did we set it for the week before Halloween?
I don't remember a specific date. Let me check my calendar.
I'd like to remind you, last week you promised to pre-register at RChain.coop, Greg.
Oh my God. Okay. Wow. Okay. Let me do it right now. Let me do it right now. Where is it? RChain.coop. Give me the URL. I'll take care of it right in a second.
That's it. RChain.coop. There's a link right there.
Greg, I wrote down on my calendar October 24th.
Which is the week before Halloween. That's yay. Okay. So I'm on RChain.coop. Technology, scalable language, testimonials. Join us.
What?
No. Where's the pre-register link?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I don't. The RChain.coop doesn't have the pre-register link right now, unless it's in Join Us.
I'm not seeing it, dude.
That's what I got.
Pre-registration form. There we go. Got it. Okay. Yeah, I do. Okay, so I click next. Okay, hang on. All right. Might as well have this membership and fee. Member,
you may want to do that after the meeting.
I'll do that part after the meeting, but okay, cool. I got it. Cool. All right. I will do that. I'll take care of that. Sweet. So thank you for the reminder. I've had 10 million things, and I think a lot of people on Slack have felt like I've been ignoring them. We had kind of a medical scare in our family, and that took up a lot of my time last week and the week before. So I'm not
okay.
Yes, everyone is okay, but it was touch and go for a while. So anyway, we're all. I can be more focused here on this stuff now, and we have the redemption process out of the way, so I can also be a bit more communicative in that regard. It was taking Ed and I, quite a while to make sure we got through all of the processes, processing all the transactions and double checking them and triple checking them. And even then, we still had some transactions that kind of fell on the floor and had to get redone. But now I can be a bit more focused and a bit more communicative. All right. Thank you, Jim, for that. Anything else? Anything else that's we want to talk about? I am totally okay with yielding 23 minutes back to all the folks, all the good folks out there. But I'm also fine if we want to go through anything else. Sweet.
Well,
Yeah.
no, the community meeting didn't happen today.
Yeah. Okay.
So we might want to address a couple of community topics, maybe just briefly. Now, the statement of work form that AJ set up, should people be entering statements of work using that form?
Yeah. So if people want to be paid by the co-op, then unless it's a bounty, then for sure we have to have a statement of work.
Okay. I'll put the link for that in the chat.
Sweet. Very good.
If I can find it. Yeah, there it is.
All right. Anything else? we should title these hangouts anything else.
All good from my end.
Okay, let's yield back to 21 minutes, and I really appreciate everyone's engagement here, and looking forward to getting this show on the road. I am so excited about starting to be able to program in Rolang. It's gonna, I think, once Rolang, once people start understanding how much fun it is, I think it's gonna really find some purchase, at least within the blockchain space.
Definitely.
All right, guys.
Yeah. I'd like to at some point, Greg, collaborate with any sort of use cases that you had in mind that you.
Absolutely. I mean, if you want to come out to Seattle, we'll definitely support that.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll pay your way. So yeah.
Okay, that'd be this summer. You mean?
Yeah, the June timeframe. Yeah.
Sure. Oh, that'd be a blast. All right. Cool.
All right. Ciao for now, guys.
Yeah.
Later. Patrick, do you have a minute? Oh, it's still recording. Christian?
Who started the channel?
I assume Christian. It's Coin Interview channel. But
N was the one that posted it in the Slack.
interesting.
All right. I'll check you later.
So we're on the air, I assume. Naveed. Kit. Can you give us a quick report on where you've been and where you're going?
Yeah, I'm not sure who started the recording. The room was opened by Coin Interview earlier, I think. And then I left, and when I came back, the meeting was going and it was recording.
Yeah. So can you give us a little report of what's going on with you with respect to RChain?
With me personally?
Yes.
I'm enchanted by the technology, you could say. And I should first point out that I'm not a developer or deeply technical, but I've had a software company for 12 years, and so I learn things by osmosis, and I know what's going on in the code.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, today was sort of interesting listening to the discussion about, calling it a verse in terms of the namespaces and those things.
So, are you planning to do something to help the cooperative? Are you going to submit a statement of work?
I think so. I'm based in Rotterdam in the Netherlands, which is close to The Hague, where RChain is, and he's the one who actually nudged me to get involved and be visible. I was just kind of lurking and watching from more of a distance. So the answer is yes. I would be interested in doing some things to help the initiative and the co-op get rolling.
Now, there's bounties already available for coaching our work study groups.
What's already available?
Bounties for coaching a work study group.
Oh, okay. I could possibly play that role.
That would be awesome, because we need coaches, and that's our biggest holdback. It's people who want to build stuff, they want to learn.
And what exactly are they coaching?
Well, in the RChain noob programming group, okay, we've been running Rosette nodes and we trying to fix bugs in Rosette right now with Kent coaching. And other things we want to do are relate to doing proofs of concept of contracts that we can express in Rolang and write on Ethereum. And for our task reward system, we need to build our task reward system. And the learning Scala and Rolang.
Right.
Those are the main things in this group. And then we have other work study groups that are in the decentralization space that aren't directly RChain related. If we look at the IOP log here.
Kit, you say you have a software company. What sort of software are you involved with?
Well, our focus is content management. but the software company doesn't really exist anymore. There's no employees. There's just myself. And there are some clients who have running systems, and sometimes they need support, and then I get freelancers. But we used Python as our lingua franca, and the company was running from 2001 till 2014, and well, it still exists, but it's just on a very low flame, and that's the way I want it.
So, in the new RChain programming group, look at the project document. Okay, we keep a log in a Google document and for most of the classes. We sort of have a list of things that we're doing here.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The question is, do you have a class? You have to, find somebody to coach and find somebody who wants to work on it. Because we're not doing much now, I'm open to work on just about anything. The idea is a team, done as a team.
Yeah.
The team divides its bounties.
Right.
So you earn while you learn, accomplishing something worthwhile and making a difference.
Yeah. Well, this looks intriguing. I'm
now in the if I can find it here.
Whoa. Tad City. Whoa.
Where is the other one? I got so many tabs open.
Yeah.
In the Internet of People, we have a bunch of different projects. One is decentralized social media, bring your own identity, Facebook, assimilation.
Right.
We're working on a crowdfunding project spaces where we issue project coins and then buy them back on a meritocratic level.
Right.
Somebody can start a project, issue coins, and if the project has value, then we can buy the coins.
Okay.
Now it's like we give a bounty by buying back the coins.
Yeah, that identity project looks interesting. That's one of the fundamental problems of this age.
Yeah, and the aggregated identity or universal identity is sort of a prerequisite to anything we do, everything we're doing. Nothing can work together unless we have universal identity.
Right.
This is one reason I'm working with the Internet of People thing is because they have something that works, a universal identity. And it's a really vibrant group of leaders and thinkers in the decentralization space with very, a lot of ambitious goals. But they have some money. And they have a coin that, and we're looking to have universal atomic coin exchange. One of the projects here is a gateway, the component between OS-DEX, which allows us to trade any Ethereum compatible token, and Iguana, which is uh, I can make it think. Iguana. So that all Bitcoin compatible trades will be enabled atomically by Iguana, which Internet of People is adopting or partnering with. And then a component that the gateway between the Ethereum world and the Bitcoin world would give us economic freedom.
Yeah, that would be a great
spend in whatever token we want to spend, and get paid in our choice among what we can get.
Yeah, that would be a breakthrough.
Yeah. So if you you can choose to mentor any project you want, either in IOP, in Giveth. Giveth is building well, in essence, personal DAOs or DAOs for every purpose.
Uh-huh.
A DAO to control every currency or whatever. DAOs for everything. But working with Giveth, .io on that. We've been loosely working with Jordi Bellina and Griff Green, of Ethereum there, and we got put together some great contracts. So there's I'm spread all over the map. But all of these things are very interesting, and the technology is all coming together at the same time. But if you want to, join Divvy